Welcome into the Grown Man's Podcast. We are fastly approaching the NFL season, the real season, even though we're less than 3.5 weeks out. Football starts on September 9th. Usually we're watching some preseason football now, but that's not going on. But we do have some practice news as teams are starting to get into actual padded practices this week. Tom Brady in a Buccaneers uniform, other teams going in. Just some weird, crazy stuff in the NFL this year. So that's why. Not this week, but in the coming weeks in August leading up to the NFL season, we're going to be going over some fantasy football news, all fantasy football news, a lot of it. Some steals in the draft, mock things, how you can make some bad trades, some shady deals in your fantasy leagues. If you haven't asked us any questions, if you have any fantasy questions, you can do so on Twitter at Grown Man's Podcast or Instagram at Grown Man's Podcast. Actually, Twitter's at Grown Man's Pod. Or if you'd like to become a supporter of the show and be a grown man yourself, you could do so over at patreon.com/grownmanspodcast. We're also tasting a whiskey today. What are we tasting here there, T-Bone?
Oh, you're going to finally introduce me after, 17 minutes of an intro, huh?
1 minute and 14 seconds. Thank you very much.
Holy Moses. I don't think I've ever waited so long to get to talk on my own show.
I think I have.
Yeah, no, that is untrue.
You go some real long-winded intros.
My intro is, welcome to the Grown Man's Podcast. I'm sitting across from the man, the myth, the legend, Hattie. How you doing tonight, Hattie? Every time.
Yeah, well, there's some things that we forget in
it
the
is
intro
like a
sometimes.
7-second intro for me.
There are some things we forget in the intro sometimes, so I wanted to get it all in and out.
I see that.
Mm-hmm. So I got right to it.
Yes. So, what did you ask me?
I asked you what whiskey we're trying today.
Oh, Lord. We are having Ardbeg. It is a Islay Scotch, single malt, 10-year,
Yep.
and it is quite smoky and peaty. So,
yeah,
we'll get into that.
Sorry, didn't
Yeah,
mean to cut
no,
you off. But you
you're
can get our full review in the show after the show, the whiskey review. You had an exciting weekend.
I did.
What are you up to this weekend?
Oh, I
T-Bone?
just had myself a nice little backpacking trip. Went and did a trail in northern Pennsylvania. It's called Old Loggers Path. And
very nice.
It's the trail is a 27-mile trail. We didn't do all of it.
Ugh.
Unfortunately, there was due to the lack of rainfall here in the Northeast recently, there was not enough water, throughout the trail for us to be able to continue on the trail. But we got to a really nice place about 7.5 miles into the trail. Ended up base camping there for 2 days and then hiking back a different route. So it was like a 15-mile trip.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Me, Walter J, who's been on the podcast before,
Friend of the podcast, and needs to get more involved in the group fantasy chat going on here.
That's for sure.
Real quiet lately.
He doesn't check it.
We need to get a spark underneath him.
Yeah, he has no time for crazy group droning group chats.
Don't tell me he's got no time. If you work an 8-to-5 job, which I know he does,
yes.
You can take a little peek-see at your phone and send a little texter out every once in a while.
But yeah, so he went, and my son Keegan, he went with us. So it was a good time. Yeah, difficult, challenging. The first 7 miles in, rough. By the time we finally got to where we were going, it was like like going through a desert and then finally finding a nice little watery oasis because we were out of water. We were all like really parched, and we found this beautiful spot with like a nice big wading pool.
If you were out of water, how'd you get water?
Because you have a filter with you, so you filter the creek water.
Oh,
yeah. So all of the water that you drink the whole time is filtered water. And
you're making this real appealing for me, I must say.
I mean, it's beautiful, cold, fresh spring water. You just filter it to make sure that there's no little microbes or anything in it. But it tastes better than any bottled water you can get. And yeah, there was a beautiful giant wading pool right next to our camp. So we spent the whole day just kind of hanging out in there, drinking whiskey that we had brought with us. And shooting the breeze, talking crap, skipping rocks, cooking food. It was a good time.
Very nice. Camping's always fun with
it's a blast
with a couple friends and everything. It's always a good time.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what'd you do?
Went golfing. And I was out on a pontoon boat on one of the Finger Lakes.
Nice.
So I had a good weekend.
Did you drink any wine up there in the Finger Lakes? Very well renowned for the wine up there.
No, I didn't.
No?
We were on the pontoon boat. I had a mimosa and a couple beers. And that's about it. I got kind of, I wasn't feeling well halfway through, so.
A little.
No, I think I had some bad food. Shouldn't have got the fried fish. Is what I shouldn't have done. Shouldn't have got the fried fish.
You don't want to. Fried fish is one of those things I didn't start eating until later in life. But I'm always kind of leery about it.
I've never had it bother me before.
No. It always is something that I find a little bit questionable still. Yeah.
I mean, it's well cooked. Like, there shouldn't be anything in there. I mean, it's literally fried.
Well, evidently there is something wrong with it, Hattie.
There was something wrong with it, maybe.
But you mentioned mimosas. See, mimosas are one of those things that always makes me... I always have this idea in my head about how delicious mimosas would be, and the execution is never lives up to what I want it to be in my head.
Really?
Yeah.
I love mimosas.
It's too bitter. It's like all the badness of the champagne and all the badness of the orange juice.
You just need to use a sweet sparkling wine and you'll be fine.
That's what I always use.
Oh, all right.
And
it's still bitter.
Yeah. I mean, well, the orange juice is bitter. Orange juice has a bitter taste to it.
All right. Maybe you're just not a mimosa guy.
Maybe, but I want to be.
I mean, there's nothing better than
if you can drink mimosas, you can drink in the morning.
That's true.
So...
There's nothing better than a good Sunday brunch, a relaxed Sunday brunch, sipping a mimosa, having some Eggs Benedict.
I was just going to say Eggs Benedict.
Oh, Eggs Benedict is fantastic.
It's so synonymous with brunch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I don't even know what Eggs Benedict is.
What?
I think it's a poached egg.
It's like a dropped poached egg,
yeah.
And then you put a little piece of ham. It's got some hollandaise sauce on it and usually a muffin thing.
Yeah, English muffin?
An English muffin, yeah.
What is hollandaise?
I don't know.
Oh, stump the old culinary expert over here.
I think it's
Chef Hattie.
I think it's some kind of mayonnaise-based sauce, but I don't know what all goes into it.
Eggs.
Yeah, it's real yellow in color.
I love breakfast
I know
food.
it has a couple spices in it. I don't know what those spices are.
When are we going to do a grown man's brunch?
Terrific. We should do a morning live episode.
Oh.
We don't have enough listeners to do a live episode. Hey, tune into our Discord server. Come watch us do something live on Sunday morning.
Nobody's logged in. All right.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool doing a live broadcast over a halftime show or a game or something.
That'd be fun.
We don't have enough listeners for that.
No.
So go tell your friends about the Grown Man's Podcast.
Yep.
Let them know on all your socials and put the word out there.
Yeah, make sure you let everybody know about the podcast just so we can start doing live events. Yeah. And also just grow as a podcast because that's cool too.
Yeah, that's cool as well.
Yeah, we would also just like to grow as a podcast, just as a regular one, not just a live one.
Probably skipping a few weeks over the summer wasn't helping our numbers.
Yeah, I mean, hey, guess what? We got lives too, you know?
That's true.
Hey.
Sometimes you just got to go get a kayak, and sometimes you just don't feel like doing it.
Yeah. And sometimes you forget. I'm looking at you, Hattie.
Only happened once.
Yes. And last week, I will own up to it. Last week, I missed the podcast. That was my fault. I got a call on Monday afternoon that I was going to be going to Maine in New Hampshire for work for a 2-day trip, and I had to leave right after I got home from work on Monday, so I did not have the opportunity to do a podcast, so I had to call Hattie and say, hey, no podcast this week. Sorry.
I will say, just wiping up your spilt glass of whiskey over there.
Yes.
My hand smells like a campfire because it's an Islay whiskey. So
I saw you sitting over there smelling your fingers. I was like, Hattie, what is going on over there?
They're real peaty and smoky.
Yeah. How did that whiskey get spilled, by the way, Hattie?
I did a little drum roll on the table and
something like that.
Glass went flying.
I believe what happened was I was busting your balls about you having not won the fantasy football championship since season 1, and you, filled with rage, beat the table in anger.
Yes.
Is that a more accurate representation?
I need a championship. I've been to 4 of them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm 1 in the championship game, so
it's unfortunate.
Not great.
And I do. Do I love to taunt you about it.
No, nothing worse than having a great team that gets you there all year long.
Yeah.
And then they just put up a good old stinker in the championship game.
Just pinch a loaf right there in the championship.
Just give them good stinkers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. I find it quite enjoyable.
I'm sure you do.
Yep.
I mean, you've only been there once, so
Yeah, but I won it.
I mean,
100%.
I was there once and won it once too.
100%. Yeah. Well, yeah. Back when we had 7 people in the league.
I was an 8-person league. 7 people. Well, let's get off and get rolling with this podcast.
All right.
We
Hattie
got
wants to move
NFL
along.
news.
Yes, we do. NFL news.
Yeah, with that terrible drum roll, why don't you start us off with your first couple because you have more than me this week.
I had to make sure that I got that in there, Hattie, because I didn't know if you were going to go right into
I was going going to keep going on if you didn't do it.
Oh, man.
I was going to skip it right out of the podcast.
It's everybody's favorite part of the podcast is when I do my drum roll.
I mean, they could let us know. Yeah. Twitter, Grown Spot.
Please do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love doing it. I'm going to keep doing it no matter what.
I know.
All right. My first news item up here is a little bit of beef going on. Imagine that with Jamal Adams and former defensive coordinator. Oh, look at that. Cracking a nasty old rotten beer on the podcast over here, Hattie. A sour, as he's become famous for here in the last couple weeks.
Oh, I've been on a sour kick for sure.
Yeah, you need to kick it like a bad habit is what you need to do.
They're great.
They're disgusting.
This one's particularly my favorite.
Yeah. I was going to say, leave a little bit in the can and I'll give it a swig. I ain't drinking the foam of it. That's nasty. All right, Jamal Adams. So last week, Greg Williams, when asked about Jamal Adams going to a new team, said that he thinks that Jamal Adams is going to get bored there because they're not going to know how to use him properly. And Jamal Adams fired back at Greg Williams and said, he definitely misses me. A lot of them miss me over there. I don't think I'm going to be bored winning. That's how I look at it. I'll be all right.
Oh,
so shots
throwing some shade.
Yeah, I think Greg Williams kind of spoke out of turn. Probably didn't mean to create the headlines talking about a former player. Probably was just speaking candidly about it. Pete Carroll also got a little bit tossed about it, talking about how they're just simple folk over there in Seattle, and they don't know if they'd be able to understand certain things. So he kind of took it personal, and Jamal Adams obviously also getting back in on ribbing him a little bit. Hopefully it'll die out. Jamal Adams just loves that drama, man.
Oh, he does.
Can't get away from it.
He's a drama queen.
He really is.
He's the Odell Beckham of the.
That's true.
Formerly known of a Jet.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, he really is because
he's a Seahawk now, right?
Great player, but yes, way too much drama going on there.
I mean, there's some players who are like that. I mean, you get a variety of personalities in the NFL.
You measuring your steps closely there, Hetty?
I was measuring my steps closely.
Okay.
Personalities is a good way to put it. I can't get in trouble for saying that.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, you have your Odell Beckham Juniors, you have your Jamal Adams, and then you have the more quiet guys you never really hear of.
Just come to work and do the job.
I will say that quiet guys never really become a household name, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you really think about it. I mean, there's some quiet people in the NFL who are very good, very talented, Pro Bowl guys, and they just don't get the notoriety of some of the other ones because they're more outspoken. They make the news more.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it.
The Jamal Adamses are fun as long as they're in favor, and things are going the way that they want.
Yes.
But they go scorched earth when things don't go the way they want.
Yeah,
and it's a miserable experience for whatever fan base of the team they're on.
You can go from Baker Mayfield to Antonio Brown real quickly.
Yes, that is
when you're making the nose, you're just like being stupid and like whatever. He said something dumb, but who cares? He seems like an okay guy. To oh boy, he's throwing furniture out his rented cottage window and beating people and being real dumb.
Hashtag call God. That's a good comparison. Yeah, Baker Mayfield to Antonio Brown because Baker Mayfield's outspoken, kind of says more maybe than you'd want him to say, but.
But you still kind of like the guy right now, anyway.
Yeah.
And then you have your Antonio Browns, who, you might have liked him earlier in his career. He has some antics.
Yeah.
But now you're just like, ooh, he's a bonehead.
The Facebook Live from the locker room after when,
I think that's actually when I turned on Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
I didn't mind him.
That didn't bother me at all.
Super talented, but, I mean, if you're in a locker room, you're kind of like...
It's a family.
It's a family. It's a group. I think you kind of violate the trust of everyone in that locker room if you're live streaming, because things are said in the locker room that should never go public.
Oh, for
Things
sure.
are done in a locker room that should never go public. That's part of your family. To live stream to... I mean, Antonio Brown had millions of followers at that point.
Oh, I'm sure.
To just put that out in the wild, I think that's when I was like, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
No longer a fan.
I mean, there's things said in the locker room. There's things said behind closed doors everywhere that, taken out of context or, the wrong people hearing it, could really ruin people's careers or, make them seem like bad people. I mean, so, yes, he put a lot of people at risk doing that. So, I can see that. But
and, I'm a pretty private person. So, if someone was to, if I was in the locker room and I was a teammate of Antonio Brown and he did that, and I was speaking, or even if another teammate was speaking, I think I would be quite upset.
Yep. Yeah, I would not like it.
Lost my respect.
Yeah, he didn't lose my respect because he didn't really have my respect.
I mean,
I
I liked him because he was a talented
yeah,
player.
he's a good player.
Like, fun to watch.
He was fun to watch. I always liked him in the commercials. I thought he was an easygoing guy. Turns out he's an absolute bat crap crazy nut job.
Yeah, he was also like, you kind of feel sorry for guys who take like the bad side of a hit. Like he got hit by Vontez Burfict there, and like a couple other things in his career. It's kind of like, ooh, he kind of got the raw end of the deal on that. But then when all that happened, it's like, all right, you lost my respect. You're done. No respect.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's move along.
Move right along to my next one. Cowboys got another some bad news. Their big sign, Gerald McCoy, big defensive tackle, super talented. Had a ruptured quad tendon, which does not sound fun. Whenever you say whenever you put the word ruptured in front of an injury, just doesn't have good mental pictures for me. But he's out for the season with that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I think he was a Buccaneer, right?
Yes.
Gerald McCoy was a Buccaneer, and then he signed with the Cowboys. Or did he go to another team in between there?
I
think he was a Buccaneer. You can look that up real quick. But, it's bad news for the Cowboys. That was a big signing for him in the off-season. So
Gerald McCoy.
I'm pretty sure he was a Buccaneer. He was a big-time Buccaneer.
Let's see here. Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Bucks before that?
Bucks.
All right. So he had like a 1-year stay with the Panthers?
Probably.
Bucks and then Panthers?
I don't know. I'm not looking at it. Yeah, he was one year with the Panthers. Yep.
Oh, okay.
All right. Sorry about how long that took to look up. My phone was being stupid when I pulled it up. I had Googled Demi Lovato earlier. I saw a meme earlier, something about drugs or something, and I tried to look it up to see if Demi Lovato got in trouble recently for drugs. I couldn't find anything. So if you guys know anything,
she's completely clean now.
Oh, was she hooked on drugs before?
Yeah, she went into rehab probably a year ago or something.
Pop
culture news, which somehow I know and don't really have any interest.
Yeah.
But I do know she was I don't know if it was. I think it was drugs and alcohol. Yeah. I don't know that for sure, but I know that she did go into rehab, and now she's clean and doing
I just recently found out who Mac Miller was and that he was dead. So pop culture is not my thing.
I work in a big company, so I hear a lot more things.
Working in an office, I don't listen to the radio. All I do is listen to podcasts.
Yeah, I don't listen to the radio either.
Yeah, so if it doesn't come through podcast form, I probably don't know about it.
Yeah, so. I have I listen to Spotify and some music apps, but very rarely listen to the radio anymore because it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
it's just terrible.
Yep, I agree.
The same song on repeat.
I can't
8 times a day. It's all right. I'm even when I make a playlist, on Spotify or whatever service that you happen to use, if I listen to my playlist 2 or 3 times, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm already getting sick of the new songs that I put on there, and I got to make a new one to
There's a couple bands or a couple albums I listen to that I can just listen to, pretty much on loop, of just put it on and let it just.
Is there a little Bob Dylan in there?
Bob Dylan's one of them.
No.
Yeah. Bright Eyes is another one. Yeah, there's a couple.
Still can't believe you went to that Bob Dylan concert all by yourself. Didn't even invite me.
You wouldn't have gone.
Yes, I would have.
No, you wouldn't have.
Oh, I would have. There is only a few bands I wouldn't go with somebody with.
Well, you hate Queen, so
I do hate Queen.
You seem to hate classic rock.
I would not go to. I like classic rock. I just don't like Queen. I think they're overrated.
Oh,
Queen,
Lord.
But they're no longer around, so I don't have to worry about that. Beatles also think we're overrated. They're not around anymore, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And country. I wouldn't go to a country concert. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Anything else I would go to.
Yeah. Beatles I think are good. I just don't think they were the best band ever.
They were good.
They
had some, I like a couple of their songs.
I think the Sgt. Pepper Lonely Heart Club Band was a great album.
Highly overrated.
I would say slightly overrated. Personally.
Highly overrated.
But that's your prerogative.
I think so one person that I think was slightly overrated is Elvis Presley. I like some of his stuff. I think he was
really overrated.
I liked what he did for music.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for all his music. He brought in the dancing in that kind the showmanship of like music videos and like MTV. Like he was the showman out there because before him, people just sang at a mic. He danced. He made it.
He brought it to an audience that made it acceptable. I mean,
that's really all that popular people do.
Yes. Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, well, I won't get into it. Right. I believe there's some contention about Elvis Presley kind of ripping off things from other cultures and whatnot.
Sure, but he's the one that brought it into the limelight, like the showmanship side of music. Yeah. Where before it was just somebody like standing at. But
I don't
singing.
care anything about. I mean, you could say listen to nothing or listen to Elvis, and most of the time I would just listen to nothing.
He had like 3 excellent songs, and the rest were okay.
Yeah.
But I like this. Like he brought something new, to music that was not there before, or at least brought it mainstream. To
I
music
Can't Help Falling in Love, I think is the name of it. That's an Elvis song. That one I like.
All right,
but that's probably, I don't even know if that's a famous one. Who did a good piece on Elvis Presley was Revisionist History with Malcolm Gladwell. You ever listen to that podcast?
I have not.
I mean, not a sponsor, but great podcast.
All right.
If you love intelligent, thought-provoking podcasts, that is a great podcast to listen to. But only listen to it after this podcast.
I'll have to put a thinking cap on to be able to listen to that.
It's a great podcast.
I could just put an earbud in at work and listen to stuff.
You will really enjoy it if you do.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take a look. So why don't you do a rapid fire 2 over there?
All right, 2. All right, so the Chiefs are going to be apparently allowing fans into the stadium at 22% capacity, approximately 16,000 fans. Masks will be required at all times for those attending. The only reason I'm bringing this news item up is because me and Hattie have
going to win this bet. Me and Hattie they're not all going to be the same, and you know it's true.
Me and Hattie have a bet that I do not believe that the NFL will allow some stadiums to have fans while other stadiums are not allowed to based on local legislative laws.
Oh, yeah.
So it is looking like I might be eating crow, so to speak, but quite literally eating Vegemite.
Vegemite, for sure. A whole toast's worth.
Yes. Which would be quite unpleasant. Quite unpleasant indeed.
Because I know that the New York Jets and the Giants, MetLife Stadium, New York City, they cannot have any fans in the stands. Correct. I know the Green Bay Packers, which is my favorite team, the first 2 games will not have anybody there, but after that it'll be at a limited capacity, and some other stadiums are coming out. I know the Las Vegas Raiders said that for the whole season they're not going to have anybody there, which is kind of unfortunate because that's a brand new stadium and it looks beautiful.
It does look beautiful.
Chiefs came out today. I think 22% is what they said.
Well, that's what I just said.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get the percentage that you had.
Yeah, 22%.
But, so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Less than 4 weeks away for a podcast full of T-Bone over there. Eating a good old piece of toast with some Vegemite on it.
Spilling beer down my face.
I'll give you the option, though. Like, if you got to eat the Vegemite, what kind of toast do you want it
on? I would like a marble rye, maybe like a pumpernickel.
What? Are you going to make it worse?
I like marble rye.
All right. Yeah, but I mean, like...
If I gotta eat, I'm gonna make you go out and buy an expensive loaf of bread.
I'm gonna buy the cheapest marble rye.
You can't buy a cheap. That's the thing. You can't buy cheap marble rye. You
know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy a marble rye, slice one slice off of it, put Maramite on it, and the rest is gonna be a rye boat.
Nice.
Dueling it. So at least at the end of your terrible toast, you can have some rye boat to wash it down with.
Yeah. Forget about terrible towels. I'll be eating terrible toast. And we'll have, indirectly Gus to thank for that for
supplying the
Maramite. Well suggesting it in the first place for us to have gone out and gotten it.
And I just have that whole jar sitting up in my cupboard.
Do you really? Go get it. Let me see. I think I brought it with me. I think I brought it with. Brought it with me and took it over to Pat's house afterwards and ended up throwing it out.
Oh, all right.
But I might have done that with the piccalilli sauce. So
I think it was the piccalilli. So if you want to do another news item, I'll go check.
All right, so my next news item up here is the Titans are looking for a presumably a backup quarterback and have been in conversation with Deshaun Kaiser and Trevor Siemian, which leads one to believe, oh no, you do still have it, which leads one to believe that, you know, they're probably just looking for a backup quarterback. Let me see it.
No way. You're going to throw it away or something.
I have garbage over here. I just want to look at it.
I'm just going to leave it. Every podcast is going to be sitting on this table just looking at you the whole time.
Oh, my God. It's so disgusting.
Give that a good
Oh, my God. It smells so awful.
Yep. That's going to be my new table decoration. Every podcast is going to be there looking at you in the face.
You know what it smells like? Smell that. It smells like a bottle of pills, like vitamins, doesn't it?
Kinda.
Isn't that what that smells like?
Rotten vitamins.
Rotten vitamins.
You're going to be having a big old piece of toast with that on. And remember, it's going to be a visual smear on the toast.
Okay,
it's
but
not going to be like
you need to be reasonable with it.
Yes. It's not going to be like this is what it's going to be. It's going to be a Tom Hanks
No, it is
smear.
not. No, we already discussed this.
Yes.
We already discussed it.
Look up the video of Tom
Yeah,
Hanks.
it's not going to be a
Vegemite.
Tom Hanks smear.
Look at the
It's going
smear.
to be how people in Britain eat Vegemite toast.
All right, so
which is, a scraping.
So at Gus Toon, Mr. Gus Ambassador of the podcast, you need to tell us.
Yes.
Real.
We need to have him send us a picture.
Yes. Send us a picture of your morning, afternoon, dinner, whenever you eat this. Send us a
I would imagine
picture
when he's
of
drunk.
your toast. How much you put on, because that's how much T-Bone has got to eat on his piece of toast.
Gus, you beautiful man, please, for the love of all that is holy and good, please send a scantily clad piece of Vegemite toast, because
we want the authentic experience.
Yes, okay.
I want you to give your.
And I've also heard people put it on there with butter. So if that's how you use it with Vegemite and butter, or Marmite and butter.
That was not part of the deal. You can't add things to it. It was
Why?
toast. It was toast and Vegemite.
Why do you care if I have butter on it also?
Because you'll enjoy the butter more somehow.
Well, of course, because the butter's delicious and it would be redeeming. Oh my! It's so thick and gross. Oh man!
All right, so did you get through your next news item there?
I am really, really hoping that this goes the way that I hope it is going to go.
We have 3.5 weeks to figure it out.
I got some on my finger. I feel like I need to go wash up.
You should just lick that right off.
It smells so bad.
My fingers still smell like whiskey. Good old PD campfire.
You know what I'm gonna have to do? If I have to eat it, I'm just gonna have to just plow through it as quick as humanly possible. And
hey, you're gonna have some rye boat at the end of it, so
all right,
it's redeeming. Oh, you can have a beer after too.
I'm gonna have to have a beer during, or maybe some tea. Maybe I'll have to go full British and
I can make you some tea, some real good tea, some matcha tea.
Matcha. I like sleepy time tea.
Chamomile?
Yeah, mint kale. There's I don't know who makes it, but they make sleepy time tea.
All right.
That's the name of the tea.
I think we have some up there. My wife likes tea, so we have
it's like mint chamomile or something like that.
She uses 2 tea bags and never goes any farther. Yeah. We have a billion boxes in our
I like mine in the wintertime.
2 tea bags gone.
In the wintertime, sometimes I like to have it, when I get home from work. It's just nice to,
I like tea.
Because I'm cold all day. My feet are wet and cold all day long while I'm working. So I like to have nice warm tea sometimes.
I like iced tea. I can't do any kind of hot beverage, so.
No. I don't like iced tea. Too sweet.
Well, you just don't put sweetener in it.
Yeah, but then it's too, makes your, mouth feel like there's too much grippiness on your tongue. I don't know how to describe it.
All right.
It's like how you feel when you get out of a shower, but it's got hard water.
Yeah.
Like that, but in your mouth.
Yeah, so we have really hard water here.
Do you?
You really have hard water?
No, I have soft water at my house, yeah.
So I actually had to get a shower, one of those screw-on, inline, because we just rent our place, and I can get a whole water thing for the whole house. But it helps out a lot.
Does it?
Yeah.
So what does it do? Have a salt thing in it?
I got the best one that you could.
Mm-hmm.
And it does pretty good. It's I don't know, it's 11 thingies in there that get rid of chlorine and the hardness and other hard metals and stuff.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know how a water softener works.
I don't know how either.
I know it involves bags of salt.
It's got a lot of water softeners usually have bags of salt.
Yeah.
Yes. This thing just like filters out a lot of the bad stuff and a lot of the chlorine and makes it a little bit. It's not as good as like.
Yeah. But I bet you have
salt.
impeccable water pressure.
Oh, we do.
I miss good water pressure so bad, man. Do
you have a well where you live?
I have a well. Well, yeah.
A will?
I have a well.
Well?
I have a well too, but I have a well, and the water is amazing. I mean, it's like delicious. Like we have tons of water. I mean, the water comes out of the hillside, and in the springtime, it's like a soppy mess in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the water tastes delicious at my place, but it's unfortunately the pressure is not amazing.
I don't know if I've ever had the water at your place.
It's delicious water.
Huh?
Yeah,
Try it.
yeah.
You can get like the pressure things.
Yeah, like a booster for it.
Like after your well, before it comes
right.
to your house, you can get like a little booster
I know.
thing.
I probably should.
Or you could just step down.
Because I'll tell you, it's you have no idea what I'm dealing with at home. It's like imagine somebody kind of like just like spitting water out of their mouth.
Oh, I know.
It's bad.
I grew up with a well at
Did
one
ya?
of my houses, and we had to.
It's bad water pressure.
I think we stepped down because you can also step down like the line that comes into your house is like 4 inches or 3 inches or whatever that is. You can step it down right in your shower,
right,
to like an inch or 3/4 of an inch or whatever, and that'll make your pressure better.
Yeah,
and you also can get like the different shower heads that also help with water pressure, like some of them do.
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad situation.
Yeah, I live right in town, so we have.
I miss good water pressure so bad.
Some pretty good water pressure.
Yeah.
Plus, they have like one of those handheld shower things where like the little holes in it makes it real good.
Yeah, at my last house when we lived in town, I had one of those like giant like waterfall, like it was a great water, shower head and good water pressure.
Out in the country, it probably has dribbles out of that.
It really does. It really does. And it drives me crazy.
Two drips of water.
Especially when I'm out of town working and I'm in like a hotel or something for a day or two, and it's like it's just beautiful water pressure and it's amazing. And then I go home and I'm like, water pressure.
Yeah, I'll tell you, hotels actually spend money to like make the water pressure perfect and soft.
Oh, really?
They have a system that because there's nothing worse than going to like a real crappy hotel and having like no water pressure and super hard water.
Right.
Like most of the big I know I previously worked for one. They have like a whole standard of like how much the water pressure has to be coming out of the spigots and how soft it has to be.
Yeah.
Just one of those things you just never think about that's actually thought about in the hotel world. A little behind the scenes, but we need to get going on in the news.
Yes.
Alex Smith, quarterback, we know he suffered a gruesome injury a couple years ago. He actually returned to the practice field. He's on the Washington, the football team, I guess.
Yes.
He's practicing with them. Obviously, he's not going to start, but he said that he couldn't sleep at night if he didn't try to get back to the football field and at least practice and try to make a career of it.
Which I think that is amazing in and of itself.
I mean, it's amazing that he's even back into football after the injury that he had. So it's really incredible story. I think I want to say ESPN or maybe HBO. One of those did like an actual, I think it was only like an hour show about like his rehabbing and him like coming back to football and all that he went through with the different surgeries that he almost died with and the infection that he had in his leg. But a pretty incredible story, incredible guy coming back from all that and being able to step on the practice field today. So that was a pretty good story.
Wild stuff. Just looking at this serving size on here, it says one serving is one teaspoon, which is 8 grams. I don't know how they do things over in the United Kingdom, but is 1 teaspoon the average over there, Gus? I don't know.
Yeah, you know that one serving size is never the real serving.
I only ever eat 1 serving of anything. Whatever it says.
You're like looking at a hot dog package and you're like, 1 hot dog.
That's right. Well, I don't eat hot dogs.
One now, have one later.
I don't eat hot dogs.
I've seen you scarf down a few
Zweigels are different than hot dogs.
All right,
that's
whatever.
A wiener.
How about eating a candy bar? Usually those are 2 servings.
No way.
Yep.
A Snickers bar ain't.
If you get the king size, it is.
I don't get king size.
What a lie.
I don't get king size.
You get the like 2 for 2 deals and just eat 2 candy bars. You're like 1 Snickers, 1 Reese's, 1 serving each. I'm good to go.
Nope.
How about a 20-ounce bottle of soda?
Yeah.
That's only not 1 serving. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
8 ounces is a serving.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's all I drink then. Oh, Lord. All right. Let's see here. Des Bryant has been in talks with the Ravens as well as other teams. ain't no way Des Bryant's coming back, in my opinion. So I don't know how much of a news story that is. But Jets have also, in other wide receiver news, have signed Chris Hogan, who is now, as of the signing with the Jets, has now played for all 4 teams in the AFC East. So he has completed the circuit of teams that are, losers except for the Patriots. And so, yeah, we'll see how things go with Chris Hogan. It's just a depth signing at this point. I don't think Chris Hogan is any kind of savior to the franchise, but Jets wide receiver room looks very much in need of help right now. So any kind of depth that they can add will be help at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
So how many you have left over there?
One more after this.
One more? Okay, I'll go then. So we got a record-setting tight end deal. George Kittle signed as the highest-paid tight end. A 5-year, $75 million deal, $15 million a year. Wow, for a tight end. They're getting pricey. He is super talented, though.
Yes.
He plays for the 49ers. They're obviously, the Super Bowl
Champions.
losers.
The Chiefs?
The 49ers.
Oh, okay.
49ers.
Gotcha.
Super Bowl losers, but they went to the Super Bowl. They have a solid team. They can afford to pay a guy, and he deserves it. He's a great tight end.
Very great.
Wide receivers are making, slot wide receivers are making $12 million a year in the NFL these days. So,
right.
12 or $15 million for one of the best tight ends in the league.
He's great. He's dominant.
About market range for him. So
it is one of our Patreon supporters, reminded us the other day. Last year this time we were saying that he was going to be a player to regress. Well, guess what, Barry? We can't be right all the time. You know what?
I think I said that actually.
Did you?
I think I did.
I think you did actually, because
boy,
you were real big on him. Being, I don't remember what it was. I think that was from episode 1.
It was early in this. It was before the season, I believe.
Yeah.
Just because Jimmy Garoppolo previously didn't really throw the tight ends a lot.
Yeah.
He, if you looked at all his stats and everything throughout his career, he wasn't a big tight end guy. Offense, whatever.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Worked out. You can't get every prediction right.
Don't get your knickers in a twist, Barry.
If you're 50% on predictions when you're just throwing out random stuff, you're doing pretty good.
Agreed.
Make big bucks if you go 50%.
Yeah. And my last news item is that the NFL has administered over 109,000 COVID tests, and so far there has been less than 0.5%. I think it's actually 0.46% has been positive for coronavirus. So, so far the bubble type environment they're trying to create has seemed to be working quite well.
You're going to get me on a rant.
I ain't trying to.
All right.
Okay. It just seems like everything at this point is going okay. Players hopefully are taking it serious and being responsible. We'll see how things go once they start playing games next to each other. But, yeah, at this point, it seems like things are going to be okay for the most part, probably.
Yeah.
And, if 0.46% of people in the league have the coronavirus and are testing positive among all players, coaches.
Lower than everywhere else.
And
which
also,
is why my rant. I'm gonna throw it in here. Which is why the college football season should not be canceled. If you think that college kids out partying at colleges, they just showed colleges where kids are going back to school, they're just packing bars with no masks, are going to be more protected than being in a college program where they're actually doing proper testing and protecting them slightly.
Yeah.
People are delusional.
Probably true.
Delusional.
Yeah, I
if
agree.
they think they're doing more protection.
But
to
I think
kids
it's more
than
of a
putting them
public
in
perception thing than it is a,
NCAA, super corrupt. Dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb organization.
Well, I don't know about that, but
They need to go away.
I don't know about NCAA being corrupt, but I do know that it's a public image thing, and
Sure.
The
kids
colleges
Colleges are not backing the NCAA on this. I think there's going to be a new league that forms, and the NCAA goes away.
Yeah.
Not true.
Prediction.
Nah, that's not a prediction.
No, you heard it here first, guys.
NCAA is not going away, but I think kids will play this year in some sort of league.
Yeah, I heard there was a player on Ohio State that was, got got a petition signed with like 150,000.
It's up to over 250,000 now.
Is it now?
Yeah.
Saying we want to play. So
look,
we'll see.
No parents, kids in the last year are coming in where they actually want to play and have a chance for making the NFL draft is going to be like, yeah, sit our kids so drafts don't have, draft scouts, NFL scouts, not draft scouts, don't have more tape and could potentially make my kid or themselves more money. Mm-hmm. It is just ridiculous to think that that's not going to happen. But that's a whole other rant for a whole other time. My last one is another tight end. Travis Kelce also signed a 4-year, $57.25 million deal. With the Super Bowl champions this time, the Kansas City Chiefs. So this makes him annually around 14-something million a year, so a little bit less than George Kittle. But another tight end getting paid. These are
pretty much broke at that point.
Pretty much.
He's not even making $15 million. It's like that's pretty embarrassing.
Pretty embarrassing. But yeah, two of the best tight ends. They're probably two of the top 5 tight ends in the league. Like everyone's going to put them in their top 5 for tight ends.
Yeah.
So
top 2.
Good for them.
They're top 2 tight ends.
Yeah. Well, top 3. I think 2 of those are top 3.
Who do you think is better?
I'd really have to think about it, but because can't.
There is no way that there is anybody else.
Gronkowski. He's back in the league. Last time we saw him play.
He's not even close to as good as those 2 are.
We'll see.
At this point. No.
We'll see.
Zach Ertz is the only one that might be sniffing, being as close to being as good as tight end, and he isn't. So
we'll see, but that concludes it for the news, right?
Yeah.
You're all done with
I'm
your
all
news?
done.
All right, so let's go into the last segment.
Yes.
Of not the last segment of the show, but the last division that we're going to do in our division breakdowns.
Yeah.
A little bit more than 8 weeks because we missed a couple weeks, but 8 episodes worth of breaking down divisions, and our last one is the NFC North, so we are going to get into that.
Yep.
All right, we are back with T-Bone having a couple sips of sour beer and trying a new mochi ball.
Yeah, tell people.
Hey,
nobody out
mochi.
there.
What is it? Oh, it is mochi. All right.
Nobody knows what a mochi ball is.
I got confused in my head for a second for mochi and matcha, which is like the green tea.
I was thinking of goji.
Goji. Yeah, the mochi ball's good though, right?
Yes.
Little balls of ice cream with some weird little rice ball around them.
Yeah, like a rice dough. It tastes. It's kind of like a gnocchi type pasta outside of it.
Well, a lot of Japanese pastas like that.
Yeah, like a gnocchi.
And it's just the right rice base, and it's like sweetened to match the ice cream, so it's not like.
But it was kind of strawberry flavored.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know, about the size of a golf ball, I'd say, right? Maybe a little bigger.
Yeah. Around the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bit bigger.
Like a ice cream ball coated in gnocchi dough, essentially.
Hey,
I think gnocchi is actually a rice pasta, isn't it?
I believe so. But it's an ice cream that you just go to the fridge and get a little golf ball sized piece of ice cream and eat with your hands. No spoon or dish needed. Just pop it right in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's potato.
Potato?
Well, it's wheat flour with potato also.
All right. So this is rice based, I think.
Yep. I love gnocchi. You like gnocchi?
I think I've only had it once.
No,
and I think it was like on like a buffet or cruise based setting.
You gotta go get yourself some.
I was like, all right, yeah, that's fine, whatever.
Put a little bit of garlic butter on it.
Great. I don't think I had garlic butter.
Oof, so good.
Because when you try something, sometimes like in a buffet style, like it's not the same. Like if you go to a specialty restaurant for whatever it is you're trying, it's going to be a way better experience.
You can go get it at our favorite grocery store.
Yeah,
they sell it over there.
Do they?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I'll try everything once, unlike you, who doesn't want to try.
What do you mean?
Stuff.
I just tried 2 things.
I mean, you've tried sour beer before.
And I hated it.
Yep, and you hated it again.
Yeah. So stop
Even though
asking.
This one was a real good one. That one.
So stop asking me to try that.
I didn't actually ask you to try this one. I poured it in there. And I said this was my favorite, and you're like, "Oh, you should have left a little sip in the can, and I would have tried it."
Yeah.
So I did for the second one.
Because you were bugging me about it earlier.
I just want people to like what I like.
Yeah, but sours are disgusting, so you should stop liking them.
I love them, and I'm on a big kick lately.
And then the gnocchi ice cream ball there from Japan. That
machi.
one. Yeah, the machi.
See, you
I
like
never
that
had that
thing.
one. Yeah.
That's 50% then.
I wasn't gonna try it because
I forced you.
Because I never had it before,
and you liked it.
And I hate things I don't know what they taste like.
You gotta try everything once.
That's not. No, you feel that way.
Yeah. gotta try new things. If you like it, and you have something new that you can add to your armoire. And if you don't like it, then you can just never try it again. So we're in our last division that we are covering. We saved the best for last, the NFC North, the greatest division of all history of the NFL.
Oh, yeah, how many Super Bowl titles does that division have?
It's got, 2 more in the last 15 years than the Jets have.
Well, not more than the AFC East has.
I mean, just the Patriots. It's only the Patriots.
Well, yeah.
So we're going to do our breakdown of the NFC North. Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears. Who you got, number 4?
Number 4, I have the Bears.
All
Coming
right.
in at a paltry 3-13. Bears are going to be awful.
Tanking them.
Well, they're tanking themselves, Don't blame me because they don't got the mustard to stick it out throughout an entire season. They got quarterback problems. The organization does not believe in Mitchell Trubisky, and
They say they do.
No, not by their actions. They don't.
Oh yeah, I mean, actions speak louder than words.
That's right.
and
they brought in Nick Foles, who
should be the starter.
Won't be the starter probably. And then you got a situation where Nick Foles, despite his time with the Eagles in
Super Bowl MVP.
short spurts,
Nick Foles.
True, but has also been one of the, I don't want to say worst quarterbacks, but more inconsistent quarterbacks across his career in the NFL.
That's true.
Especially when people count on him to be the guy.
Yep.
And so, you got a real bad quarterback situation where they're probably going to be doing some flip-flopping going on throughout the year. You got a good defense there, but it's not as good as it once was. And I don't know. I don't necessarily like the head coach there either. So I'm kind of, they don't have the easy schedule either. I don't think for
they don't.
So what they are.
Yeah, so I have the Bears in 4th place as well.
Okay.
I mean, I have them. I say Nick Foles gets in there and helps them win one more game later in the season.
Okay.
I have them at 12. Never going to happen.
Oh man, Hattie has the 4th place team.
I do have a 12 in their win-loss, but it's in the loss column. I have them at 4-12. The NFC North has a rough schedule all the way around because they play the NFC South, which has the Saints, Falcons, Buccaneers, and Panthers in it. And 3 of those teams are probably going to be 500 or above.
Yeah.
Or very close to that. So, that's a tough division to play all around. And, the Bears with Mitchell Trubisky, how long are they going to stick with him? Are they going to flip to Nick Foles? Yep. I predict they will be on Nick Foles by week 7. But, tough schedule. Bad team. They need to figure some stuff out. 4-12 is being kind of generous.
Yeah, I could see 4-12. 3-13 is what I got. I'll be honest with you. I could when I first did it, I was like, I could see him going 2-14.
Oh, I very easily could see.
But
if
it's
things
so hard
go bad,
to lose that many games.
It is,
especially when you've got a real good defense.
For a pro football team, it's real hard to go that way.
And that's why I gave them 3-13 was essentially because of their defense, and and because of that defense, I probably would lean more towards the 4 game, but I stuck with 3.
Yeah, I think they play 2 or 3 real bad teams, which I think their defense could win.
Yep.
And I think their defense is going to keep them in a couple games. And in the NFL, one weird, crazy play can get you a game almost.
Yep.
So I have them at 5-12 or 4-12.
Yep.
Purely because of their defense, and I think Nick Foles might be that spark at some point in the season to get him a game or 2.
Okay. All right.
Who do you got in 3rd place?
3rd place, I've got the Lions.
Wow.
All right. I'm guessing you probably have the Lions there too, don't you?
Who knows where I got them.
All right. So I got the Lions at 6-10. I could see them doing 7-9. I think that's an improvement from where they were last year, weren't they? Let me see what the Lions looked like last year.
It is an improvement from last year.
Yeah, Lions were 3-12 last year. Well, 3-12-1, technically. But yeah, I think that they're going to make some improvements. I think they're going to have Stafford back, obviously. Hopefully fully healthy. But I still think they have a rough schedule, and I don't think that Matt Patricia has the ability really to bring the team together, to get out of their own way, which, the Lions just seem to have a bad luck streak of just screwing themselves, really, when it comes to close games. I think last year they would have gone like 9-7 if the games were only 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
But they went 3-12. You know?
I mean, they lost a lot of close games as well.
They did.
So my third place team is the Lions as well. I think they are a decent team. I think they have a lot of potential. I think Matt Patricia is going to do some better things than you give him credit for. I have him at 9-7.
Wow.
I have him making a big jump.
Okay.
I have him improving a lot. They were in a lot of close games where they lost it at the end or something just didn't happen to go their way.
I didn't even know you were a Lions fan.
I'm not a Lions fan.
Well, evidently you are.
But I think they're going to make a big jump. I think they're better than people give them credit for. I think they have playmakers. They have a lot of young talent on that team that was kind of coming alive in certain situations last year. Just not quite enough altogether to make it happen. Matt Patricia, I think, is also going to do some good things with that team. I give him 9-7, third place.
Well, why don't you marry him if you love him so much, Hattie? Just give him a big smooch.
I mean, 9-7, third in the division is not like
if you love him
a
so
lot.
much, Hattie, just smooch him.
But Matt Stafford still has it and is underrated.
He is, and he's the X factor there. I mean, I say he's the X factor. He's never won a playoff game.
Well, I mean,
so
he's never had a team to do it with.
Okay, so now you're in the business of making excuses for division rivals, huh?
I mean, no.
Okay. All right. Well, Hattie and the Lions happily wed ever since right now.
Now, I love it when the Lions lose because my father-in-law and my brother-in-law both like them. So
really? I thought they were Titans fans.
Well, they live in Tennessee, so they like the Titans, but they're Lions fans.
So,
and I love it when the Lions lose
Hattie
to the
loves
Packers.
to have good relationships with his in-laws. All right. So next up, I have the Vikings. At 9-7. I think that the Vikings are an okay team. I don't really believe in Kirk Cousins so much. I think they lost Stephon Diggs, which is going to be a big thing there.
I think that's going to be a big factor for the Vikings. I think they're going to miss him a lot.
Yep. I think Dalvin Cook is possibly a little bit ornery. I think he wants a little bit of a payday. He didn't get it. I don't necessarily believe so much in their offense. They got a good defense, obviously, but. Yeah, I don't believe in Kirk Cousins at the helm. I don't think he's anywhere as close to a difference-making quarterback. I think he's shown that previously with the Washington football team, as well as in his current position where he is with the Vikings. So, I think they're going to take a step back this year. They were 10-6 last year. I think they're going to be 9-7 this year.
All right, I have them at second place as well. The Vikings. I think they're the best overall team in the division, though. They have talent on defense. They have it on the skill positions. I like Kirk Cousins a lot. I think he's got a bad rep for what he's done. Obviously, everyone mentions the Monday Night Football game record and the big time games that he
or just against winning teams
hasn't won or against winning teams and all that. He's done okay with the Vikings. They have a good team around him, and he's done some good things. When he was on Washington, that was not a good team. No stretch of the imagination was that a good team. So I have them staying at the same 10-6 as they did last year. But overall, I think they are the most talented team in the division, and they probably should win the division. But I can't give it to them. I have them at 10-6, second place.
See, here's my thing with Kirk Cousins. He is 6-29 against winning teams. He has won 6 out of 35 games against winning teams.
All right.
He's 0-9 on Monday night, like what you mentioned. All right. 0-1 in the playoffs. 1-11 when trailing in the fourth quarter. He just doesn't. He doesn't have what it takes to beat good teams.
He doesn't have the dog in him.
No, he doesn't.
And you need the dog to win those games.
Yeah, he doesn't have the stones.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I don't think that's. I mean, that's a large sample size. I mean, he is not a 2-year player. He's been playing for 2 years with the Vikings, and then another 3 years with the Washington football team. So This is not a small sample size. I mean, when the game is on the line or when he's playing good teams, he does not come away with a win.
This is true.
And,
I think partially that is because he's the same player in all 4 quarters, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, not great.
He's a 7.5 out of 10 for every minute he's on the football field, and he hasn't had super great teams. He doesn't rise to the occasion. Like some players can be a 7 or an 8 or whatever their number is, like they're normal. Mm-hmm. But then they have that like special sauce.
They hit turbo.
To like hit turbo, put them over the edge, do that something special. Like I've talked about it before. Like Tim Tebow was a terrible quarterback. Yep. He was 3 out of 10, like 2.5 out of 10.
Yep.
But somehow, some way, at the end of the game, he made it happen. Like ridiculous, but somehow he riled guys and made players around him better, and somehow, some way, made it happen.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins just doesn't have that. He's a 7 to 8 overall quarterback out of 10. He's good. Sometimes maybe borderline getting some greatness in there, but he's not going to do anything when it's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter and you need to go win a game.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong.
He's going to be the exact same.
He has had flashes of greatness as a quarterback. He doesn't get a 90 million 3-year $90 million contract without being good. He's just not. Well,
I think he's a borderline great quarterback.
I would not say he's borderline great,
but he just doesn't.
I'd say he's borderline good. Is what I guess I would say.
I think he's above good. Maybe not quite great, but above good. He just doesn't. He doesn't have the it factor to like if Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes have the ball with like 2:50 left in the fourth quarter,
they can make magic happen.
We're going to win this game.
Right.
We are going to win this game.
Right.
You just have that confidence that they're going to do something crazy, and it's going to be like 3rd and 17, and somehow they're going to get an offsides, a penalty. They're going to like make the miraculous pass. They're going to not get the sack. Whatever it is, they're probably going to win that game.
Right.
And Kirk Cousins, you're like, nah.
Right.
Game's over.
Right. He's got.
If everything goes right in how the offense, like how you predicted it to go, he can win the game for you.
Right.
But he's not going to win the game.
Right. Yep. 100%.
And that's just what he is.
Yep. And I think that they lost an important piece on offense.
I think Diggs is going to be a big loss for the Vikings.
Yep.
Yes, I do.
I think Thielen's is good. Don't get me wrong. I like Thielen. I will be trying to get Thielen in fantasy this year, which, by the way, we will be getting back to fantasy after this week. I don't know if you mentioned that yet.
Oh, I did right in the intro if you were listening.
All right.
It was a big old thing about
I wasn't
fantasy.
listening because I fell asleep waiting for you to introduce me.
A whole minute and 11 seconds to introduce you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a long time.
That's not a long time at all. No, it's not.
I had time to pretend like I was checking my watch, which I'm not wearing. I had time to pretend like I had fallen asleep and was snoring for quite a while of that time. I had time to pretend like I was just sitting there making like crazy eyes at you.
You had time to make squeaky jokes with your fingers over
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Squeaky between the cheeky.
A little sneaky between the sneaky.
All right. Yeah, way too long of an intro.
I mean, a minut and 11 seconds doesn't seem
you gotta
too
get
long.
Daddy's voice on this podcast real quick, like.
Nah.
Yep.
People don't like Daddy's voice.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
All right.
Which brings us to the Packers.
Yeah.
For both of us.
Yep.
And I gotta say, I don't love putting the Packers in first place.
You love it.
I really don't, because I don't necessarily believe in the Packers this year. I think that there's going to be a lot of inner turmoil on this team. The wide receiving room on this team is in shambles, especially after losing what's his name, Devin Funchess.
Devin Funchess.
They desperately needed a couple of good wide receivers. They didn't get any in the draft. They only got one in the free agency, and he ended up opting out for the season. Their offense is struggling. Their defense isn't great, but they got Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers is mad too, because you guys had to go out and draft Jordan Love. I think there's a very good possibility that the Vikings could overtake the Packers for this. I'm going to go ahead and give the Packers a 10-6 record. All right, I'm adjusting it right now on the fly. I talked myself into downgrading them one game for their real bad offensive situation going on. 10-6. That's what I'm at.
Yeah, so I got them in first place too. I think they're the second most talented team in the division, as I already talked. I think the Vikings are the most talented team. But the Vikings don't have, as Stephen A. Smith would call it, a bad man in Aaron Rodgers. And a bad man in Aaron Rodgers.
You were sitting on that one.
I was sitting on that one. I think organizationally the Packers have done a terrible job this year. They didn't get them any help. I've already went on my rant in a previous podcast. They did not do anything to improve that team this year. Mm-hmm. The 49ers went out and got in the draft and in free agency 2 highly taunted players. Touted players on their team. And they're already, they went to the Super Bowl last year. They beat the Packers in the championship game. They made their team better. Mm-hmm. The Packers did not.
Yep.
They should have been out there to try to beat the 49ers and go to the Super Bowl, and they didn't do anything to alleviate those issues. Wide receiver was one of them. They lost one, Devin Funchess, as you mentioned, to COVID-19. You can opt out because of that. I don't know. I don't have any ill feelings toward Devin Funchess. Mm-hmm. Maybe he has a family member. He has his own medical issues. I don't know.
There's good reason for it.
There's some reason that he opted out.
Right.
But that's a big blow. I mean, the Packers have one wide receiver on that team that's of any note.
Yes.
He's a great one.
He is.
And Aaron Jones did great things last year.
Yep.
And obviously you have Aaron Rodgers. But in the passing game, it showed that they struggled last year. Mm-hmm. You only can force so many passes to Devontae Adams and run, defenses know. Double team Devontae Adams and shut down Aaron Jones. Mm-hmm. And there was nobody else that could step up.
Who are you going to go to, Geronimo?
Who are you going to go to? Geronimo's not even there anymore.
Oh, he's not?
No.
Oh, God.
So, he went to the Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, they unless there's a big step up in the wide receiver production of the young guys that they have there, where they actually come up and make some plays, I think their defense is young and is improving. Mm-hmm. But, man, on offense, if you're a defense, you know how to defend them. Stop Aaron Rodgers from extending plays.
Agreed.
And no one can get open except Devontae Adams. Mm-hmm. So you double, triple him.
Yep.
And if they are in a passing down.
Yep. I agree. Bad situation.
Everyone else you can single cover and probably win the matchup.
And defense isn't much. I mean, defense isn't great.
Defense was above midway point.
Were they?
Last year, yeah.
They're
improving.
Half of the league?
They were top half of the league. They improved a lot. I mean, Jair Alexander, Adrian Amos, and no, they have Darnell Savage.
That's trolling you.
I know. I like a lot, but they got Amos from the Bears, who's an awesome safety, and Savage is really good too. Yeah. He was a rookie last year and real good.
Yeah.
I like Kevin King too. They have some playmakers on defense. Middle, inside. They play a 3-4, so it's inside linebacker. Right. They have 2. Definitely need some help there. For 10 years, could we get one person? But apparently we just don't get guys in our skill positions.
I can tell you're feeling real animated about it because your hands are going all over the place.
That drives me crazy. Yeah. What have we needed for the last 5 years? A wide receiver and a middle linebacker. Yeah. What is one position we've paid zero attention to? Middle linebacker and wide receiver. Yeah. Let's just get backups for people we're going to use 3 years from now.
Right.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
I hear you.
But I mean, they still have some talent. They have Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones is awesome. We'll see what the new rookie running back, A.J. Dillard, I think his name is Dylan.
Yeah.
I think it's A.J. Dillard, actually.
I'll
Might
leave that
be Dylan.
To you. It's your team.
I'm going to go with Dillard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers on our team. You have a couple players in skill positions who are pretty talented.
Right.
They have a very good offensive line.
They're not winning a Super Bowl, but they'll make the playoffs.
Yes, like we have for the last 10 years.
Right.
Where we'll make make the playoffs in probably the 3rd or 4th position, and we'll be overlooked by the 1 or 2 teams that are probably going to make it all the way.
So how did you feel about Brett Favre when he went to the Jets?
I hated it.
You hated him, or you hated it?
I hated the way the Packers handled the situation.
Did you follow Favre and root for Favre when he left the team?
Yes.
I'm just preparing you for what's going to be coming next year when Aaron Rodgers is no longer a Packer.
I rooted for Brett Favre when he was on the Jets and when he was on the Vikings.
Because Aaron Rodgers, this is his last year with the Packers.
I was never as connected with Aaron Rodgers as I was Brett Favre.
Yeah, Brett Favre was when you were a little boy.
Brett Favre was when I was a little boy and I watched him. And I like Brett Favre more than Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Aaron Rodgers has some more talent to him. I think Favre had more of the it factor.
Mm-hmm.
But Brett Favre was just loved by everybody.
Yeah.
He was a great sportsman of the NFL. Like, no one hated him. He was fun. He loved the game. Like, he was always jumping. He was the first one down in the end zone, like tackling his own player in celebration, raising his hand. Like, he was a fun, loving,
he had love of the game.
Great player to love.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Rodgers is just not that.
Yes.
I think Aaron Rodgers is kind of a pickier, pricklier character.
True.
Great. Like, he's definitely very, very talented. But if Aaron Rodgers were to leave to the Jets, I would probably not follow the Jets that much more than I do now.
Yeah.
Whereas Brett Favre left for the Jets and the Vikings, and I followed him and rooted for him when he left.
Okay. What about when he went to the Vikings?
Oh, I was a Vikings fan for the 2 years he was there.
What?
Yeah,
You're out of control.
I was hoping he would win the Super Bowl with the Vikings.
You're out of control. I don't even know how. I don't even know who you are.
Favre was a transcendent character in the NFL.
You're a character, Hattie.
Just like so, if Kobe Bryant went to another team, I would follow him on a team because I loved his style of play and his character so much.
Yep.
But other players, if you have like a big time player like Jamal Adams, like you obviously loved him when he was there. He was great.
Yeah.
He went to another team. Are you really going to follow him that much?
Hate him.
I mean, you're going to
dead
keep
to me. Dead to me.
Right. You're going to keep like an eye on him if he does something crazy or stupid or great. You're probably going to it's Jamal Adams. He could have had it or whatever.
Yep.
But you don't follow him for his career. There's only a very, very select few of players
Mark Sanchez.
who you like so much that you will follow them even when they're not on your team.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
Outside of the
I had to go get you going on Favre. I had
the
to
fantasy realm where if there's a good player, you're going to get him on your fantasy team even if you don't like him.
All right. Much. We got to move it along here, Hattie.
Yeah, so that does it for our divisional breakdowns.
For the whole league.
The whole league.
Yeah.
All 8 divisions. We broke them down. So let us know what you thought about that. And please, fantasy football season's coming up, so get those questions a-rolling on Twitter at GrownMansPod on Twitter, Grown Man's Podcast on Instagram. If you'd like to become a grown man yourself, go to patreon.com/GrownMansPodcast. And that does it for the episode this week. We're going to get into more questions and fantasy throughout the month of August and up to leading to the season in September 9th when they kick it off on Thursday night. And that does it for this week. Please join us for the show after the show as we try the Ardbeg whiskey we got here, the Ardbeg.
Yep.
So we'll see you next week.
Roll that music.
Welcome into the show after the show. That was a little T-Bone intro right there. With a welcome in.
Yeah.
We're going to be trying an Isla whiskey. What are we trying here, T-Bone? Tell us the story. Give us the breakdown.
Today
Let us know.
Yeah, today we're going to be drinking Ardbeg. It says it's the ultimate Isla single malt Scotch whiskey. It's a 10-year whiskey. And I will say that if you are looking for a smoky Scotch, this is right up there. I don't know if I'd say it's the ultimate, but it is a great choice.
Very good.
It says here, our distillery lies at the most southerly part of Islay, and our malt is revered around the world as the peatiest, smokiest, most complex whiskey of them all. Yet it does not flaunt the peat. Rather, the peat gives way to the malt, the natural sweetness of which subtly intrudes, producing perfect balance. That's an intriguing bottle, bottle paragraph.
I'm sold with that paragraph, that's for sure.
So I got this bottle. I was working, where the heck was I? I was working up in Syracuse on a couple-day trip for work, and I was going to be in a hotel, and I said, you know what? Old T-Bone earned himself a little bit good sipping whiskey. I got nothing to do tonight, so I bought this. I looked up the biggest liquor store in Syracuse, and I went to it. And it was whiskey as far as the eye could see.
I think I've been to the one that you're talking about, and it's amazing.
It's amazing, yeah. It was a warehouse. I mean, it was a warehouse of liquor, and yes. So I spent probably I knocked off the day a little bit early. Spent probably a good hour and a half in the liquor store just looking at all the different whiskeys.
There's nothing better than spending an hour and a half in a liquor store with nothing else to do. Just
it really is nice. Just looking at the bottles, reading the descriptions, looking at prices, looking it up online, see if people like to, if it got good reviews.
Yep.
All those things. And, I had some money to kill too, although I ended up coming out with this bottle. And this bottle is not exceptionally expensive. It fit what I was looking for, which is a nice smoky whiskey.
So what is this one? 50, 55, about somewhere around there?
$50 to $55.
All right.
Which I don't think is bad, not for a whiskey that you plan, it's not a daily drinker or anything like that, but
not for a good scotch.
No.
I mean,
yes, agreed.
I think it's a daily one. You don't think it's a daily drinker?
I would drink it daily.
All right.
What I'm talking about is, like when I get home and it's been a long day, I'll usually just pour a little bit of Jim Beam in a glass with a couple of cubes. That's usually what, I will consider to be a daily drinker, is like whatever my wife uses for her whiskey sours.
Daily drinker.
Yeah. I might have one of these, a couple times a week.
All right. Yeah. Under $60, I would call it a daily drinker.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe being in Isla with as much smoke, maybe not is a daily drinker. Because usually a daily drinker is like, I'm not looking for anything special. Yeah. I'm just looking for a whiskey that tastes good for my daily drinker. And Islas are definitely a different breed of whiskey. Like you have to know
strong flavor.
They're very peated. They're strong. They're smoky. But very good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've talked. I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the podcast, where I was put off on Islas for a long time.
We haven't had a lot of Islas on the podcast.
We haven't. We have had the Bonnehaven
and Lafroig.
And you're Lafroig, and I think that's it.
I think that's it also.
So this is the third one, potentially the podcast. But my first Isla was Lagavulin 16, which I hated, and still hate to this day.
Yes.
Like, I like the 8-year. I like the Ardbegs and the Brooklotties and some of the other one. What was the other one? Lafroig. Lafroig's the other big brand of Islas. I love all of them, but for whatever reason, Lagavulin 16 just does not do it for me. I hate it. I don't know why. It should be up in my wheelhouse if I like all the rest of them, but there's something in there I don't like.
You got a bad bottle of it, because I've had it. I had a bottle once. And
I've had 3 bottles of it.
Yeah? Okay.
So I've had 2 friends' bottles, and I've had it at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And every time it's just awful.
Yeah.
Like, for me, taste is subjective. I don't know what it is, because I like the 8 that was in one of our whiskey tastings. Like, I was, like, blown away. When we did that tasting, I was like, this is going to be the last place for me.
Yep.
Like, I just hate it. Like, whatever that flavor is, I don't like it. But it actually placed, I think, third. Third for me in that tasting. I'd have to go back in my notes. But I think it was third. And I liked it. Like, it was good. Like, I would drink it again.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, the 16,
can't do it, huh?
Just not for me.
Too smoky, or you just don't like the flavor?
I thought it was too smoky.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously that was the first Isle I've ever had. I thought it was the smoke. Didn't like it, whatever. But I've had Ardbegs, the Brooklotties, also pretty smoky, and the Lafroigs are pretty smoky, and I like all of those.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the smoke. It's just something.
I'll have to slip the 16 into a tasting sometime.
Oh, man.
And see if you can,
Like I said, I've had it 3 times.
Yeah.
Like 2 friends' bottles and a restaurant, so it's been 3 different bottles.
Yeah.
So it's not like a random bottle was just terrible that I did not like.
It's possible.
But whatever reason, the flavor, just can't do it.
Yeah.
But this one is very
nice.
good.
Yes.
I like this one a lot. I gave it on the nose. I gave it a 7.
Okay.
So I smelled it a little bit before because we always like pour a little bit and smell it, taste it right out of the bottle, and then we let it sit for the
duration
time of our podcast. Right. I will say, like, when I first poured it, you get a lot of the peat up front, and then it kind of went into a licorice, real sweet. So smoke at first, licorice, and then a real sweet candy smell, like really sweet. And I liked it a lot. I gave it a 7 for the nose.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5.
Okay.
And like I've always said, I like really strong, robust flavors and smells for the whiskeys. And I love a smoky Scotch. I love the Lagavulin. I love the 16. If it smells like you filtered it through a campfire, then I'm probably gonna like it. And yeah, it's up there with any smoky Scotch is gonna be up there with what I love to smell from a whiskey.
Yeah, I thought it was very good.
Yep.
After it sat, I had you smell my glass as well. After it sat for the hour and 10 minutes, it was super smooth. Like the smoke really dissipated out of the glass.
Yes,
like it
allowed more of the subtler things that are in it. The smoke of the peat kind of left a little bit and allowed some of those other things to come through. Yep, I agree. Mouthfeel smoothness. I gave this one a 7. I think it's good. I don't think it's exceptional for mouthfeel and smoothness, but I think it's a good solid whiskey.
Yeah, I gave mouthfeel and smoothness a 7 as well. I think if you let this whiskey sit for an hour in your glass, it gets exceptionally smooth.
Yep.
Right out of the glass, I'm trying to be subjective. Most people are not going to let this sit for an hour. I wouldn't let it sit for an hour unless I was doing a podcast. It's a little bit rougher, but still very smooth. For an Isla, it's very smooth, especially 10 year. You said this
10
one
year,
was?
Yep.
So I think it's 7 out of 10. If you let it sit for an hour and 20 minutes, I would bump this up to an 8.5.
Yeah. I'll be honest here. Full disclosure, I burned the crap out of the roof of my mouth yesterday eating pizza when I got back from my camping trip, and so the whiskey is burning the roof of my mouth with the alcohol because it's like
Probably your little bat blue was burning.
Well, no, but so I can't separate the fact that it is hurting my mouth when I'm drinking it from the score that I'm giving it. So, but yeah, 7, me and you both gave the same score. I usually rank mine, for a similar enjoyable experience, I usually rate mine a little bit higher than you rate yours.
You do.
So us tying on it is probably me knocking it a little bit for the fact that the roof of my mouth hurts, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you're definitely, you give your whiskeys a couple points higher than me.
Usually, yeah.
I'm pretty critical.
Yeah. So, flavor, what do you got?
I gave flavor. I think it's very good. Very peaty up front. I think it breaks way to a little bit of floral and a little bit of tobacco later on in the flavor.
I can see a little floralness to it, yeah.
Yep, just slightly. And I think it's, for an Isla, very sweet as well. Like, it's got a lot of, like, toffee candy, like licorice candy. I think it's got a lot of sweetness that you don't normally get from an Isla. I liked it a lot. I gave it a 6.5. Yeah, 6.5.
Okay. Yeah, and I gave it an 8 for flavor. Just, again, I like bold, robust. I love smoke. I love peat. That's the highest category that I gave it for the tasting. But I did knock it a little bit on balance and complexity. And I scored it at 6.5 for balance and complexity because it is very overwhelmingly dominant, that those two peaty smokiness. So that's what I gave it for balance and complexity.
I think I was trying to like think back to the Islas that I had, and I think so. I knocked it a little bit on flavor and bumped it up on balance and complexity.
Okay.
So I gave it a 7 for balance and complexity because I do think it's a pretty complex whiskey.
Okay.
Because you do get, like, the smoke is dominant up front. And then it kind of, like, for me, it went into a floral and then a very sweet candy towards the end. And then you kind of, at the tail end, when it's trailing off, get a little bit more of, like, a campfire smoke to it. So it kind of gives you, like, that complex, like, a trail. It gives you an experience of a whiskey. Whereas I think flavor compared to some other Islas that I've had, I think the flavor is a little bit better than this one particularly. Okay. But I think this one has a little bit more of a story to tell in your mouth than some of the other ones.
Okay.
So I did the opposite of you.
Yeah.
I bumped it down on flavor
Okay.
a half point and bumped it up a little bit in the balance and complexity.
All right. And for aftertaste, what'd you do?
Aftertaste, I gave it a 6.5. I think it's the aftertaste kind of trails off a little bit on the flavor for me. It's just kind of camp smoky.
Yep.
It lasts, like, it gives you a long ride.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it lasts for a bit.
Right.
It doesn't, like, trail right off immediately like some whiskeys do.
Right.
But there's not a lot to the aftertaste.
Yep.
It's kind of a campfire smoke, a little bit of peat, maybe a little bit of, like, the mashed barley, but not a lot.
Yeah.
It's mostly campfire smoke that you get at the end. It lasts a while.
Right.
But
that's exactly
really all that there is.
That's exactly I gave it a 6.5 for aftertaste also, and for the exact same reason, in that it does stay on the palate a while, so you get to enjoy it for a little bit, but for the fact that the aftertaste, it is a one-way ticket.
One-way ticket.
And that
to
is
Campfire Town.
And that is to a campfire. I mean, it tastes like a campfire. There's no development in the aftertaste. It is long lasting, but it is very one note.
For the flavor and the aftertaste that I got on the whiskey, or the balance and complexity and flavor.
Yep.
I think it took you on a little bit more of a journey while it was in your mouth, and like all the feelings that were there.
Yeah.
After everything was said and done, campfire.
Yeah.
Like, not a lot there. Lasts a while, which is good for a whiskey. Like, you want to be able to sip it and like, have that minute break in between your next sip and just, kind of get the story of the whiskey and have it there. And this stayed. It was just the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like for me, this whiskey, it doesn't take me to a whole lot of places. But what it does, where it takes me there well.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have a lot of stops along the way. I know we're using this like train reference here or whatever, but it doesn't have a lot of stops along the way. But what it does very well, and it is very much enjoyable to me. Yeah, I give it a 71 overall.
It's a one-way ticket to Albuquerque.
To Albuquerque.
And Albuquerque is the campfire.
Yeah, okay.
And that's where you're going,
yep.
And there's no stops in between.
Yep.
I like the whiskey overall. I honestly think that the aftertaste was the worst thing, even though I gave it the same 6.5 with the flavor and the aftertaste for me. I give it a 68.
Yeah.
I think this is a very good whiskey, especially for a Scotch. 10 years is pretty young
it's
for
young,
a Scotch.
Younger on the Scotch side.
Like 8 to 10 years is pretty young. Like, you start getting into the mid-range, 12 to 15, and then the higher end is like 18 and up. Yeah, I think this one is very good. I think it suffered. Like, I think if they made a 14, 15-year-old of this one, I think that would improve its flavor and its aftertaste a lot, and maybe take you on a journey past Albuquerque in the campfire. But yeah, I like this whiskey a lot. 68's a pretty good score for me. I would drink this anytime anybody offered it to me. If it was at a bar or a restaurant, I would order it. I think it was very good. I love this whiskey, a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially for $50-$55. If you're looking for a good Scotch that you can have people over and enjoy it with, can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, if you have a couple friends over and you need to go through a whole bottle, this is one of them.
It ain't gonna kill you.
It ain't gonna kill you to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. So what'd you give it?
71.
71.
Yep.
I got a 68.
Yep.
Yeah.
High scores for Hattie.
Highly recommended for a $50-$55 bottle.
Yes.
If you can find it, try it out. Especially if you like Isla's, you like the peat and the campfire smoke. I think this is a very good whiskey.
I completely agree.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for the Grown Man's Podcast, and tune in next week for all our fantasy insights.
Yes.
We'll see you later next week.
Later.